Welcome to The Core. If you're interested in your health, you're in the right place. Stick around for fad-free, no BS tips and education to help you reach your goals. I'm Shannon, a NASM certified personal trainer.
And I am Aline, a certified fat loss and nutrition coach by Precision Nutrition and Clean Health Fitness Institute. All right, so today we are talking about a hot topic. I've been hearing about it a lot. People have been asking me about this all the time. It's intuitive eating. It's all the rage now to do intuitive eating. And everything I see talks about, intuitive eating, stop dieting, eat intuitively, stop counting calories, stop measuring portions, stop this, that, or that, just eat intuitively. And I wanted to touch base with this because there is a wonderful side of this, and there is a very dangerous side of this. And I just want you to be informed before you jump into this intuitive eating train that's been passing through the diet culture. Okay, so
I'm excited about this. I'm excited to hear about the dangers of it.
Yeah, it's not what people usually think about, right? Like, it seems like it's just perfect.
Like, eat when you're hungry. And I understand timing of meals or nutrition can be important to an athlete or someone training, but I am excited to hear about this.
So a little bit of history. Let's go backwards a little bit. So everybody has known at some point in their life, you have known how to eat intuitively, okay? All babies eat or know how to eat intuitively. They cry when they're hungry. They stop eating when they're satisfied. And what happens is these body cues, we are born knowing how to listen to our body. And unfortunately, and now this is a big one on parents, and I'm saying this to myself, this is a conversation we have in our house over and over, not only regarding food, but this is something we talk about our kids in several areas, is, how far do we go as parents in this kind of thing? And when it comes to intuitive eating, unfortunately, the burden of unlearning how to eat intuitively, it falls on the parents most of the time. Now, there are situations of people who have had food insecurity. There are situations of people who have or have had some sort of danger regarding food. Those are the exceptions, but for the most part, most people unlearn intuitive eating as children. And the reason why we unlearn is because we have been told, sometimes starting as babies. I mean, I've lost count, and I did this with our son, and then halfway through I gave up because it was too much work. But you have to put your baby on a schedule. They have to eat at a certain time. They can only eat for a certain time. So even with babies, as if new mothers needed one more thing to stress about, there's this whole idea of having to teach your child when to eat. Well, your baby knows when to eat. You don't have to tell your baby when it's hungry. It listens to its body cues. And then as children, how many times do we say to our children, or how many times have you heard, you have to eat 3 more spoonfuls, or no, you already ate enough. You already ate a whole bowl or a whole plate. You're not hungry anymore. Or no, you have to eat this much and you have to empty your plate, but maybe it was an adult who put the food on the plate in the first place. So as children, we get all of these cues and we learn to distrust what our body is telling us, simply because if I have to eat 3 more bites, or if I can't be hungry anymore because I just ate. I mean, I know so many people who talk about teenagers, especially teenage boys, who will sit down with the family, have a full dinner, and an hour later, they go in and have a second dinner. But many of them hear, no, you had dinner. You should have eaten when it was dinner time. You can't be hungry. You can't eat. So I'm not judging your parenting. I'm not saying that you're a bad parent. You're a wonderful parent. You're doing your best. I'm just pointing out to you, where is it that we stop knowing how to eat intuitively? Usually it stops around childhood, where we unlearn how to trust our body cues, because there is someone who is responsible for us telling us what it is that our body needs, what we should do, how much we can or cannot eat. And we start to unlearn these cues. And then we come into adulthood, and you are responsible for your own food. You are responsible for feeding yourself, for how much you're going to eat, for what that's going to look like. And how do you do that? The thing is, if we unlearned it, that is something that we have to relearn. So just telling somebody to eat intuitively is just like telling somebody that to lose weight, you have to eat less calories than your body consumes. Sure, that's true. It's not helpful. So just telling somebody, okay, eat intuitively and you're going to reach a happy weight. Sure, that's true. That's absolutely true. Intuitive eating is beautiful. It's just that we don't know how to do it. So what is intuitive eating? Intuitive eating says that you will eat when your body needs food. You will listen to your hunger cues. You will not eat emotionally. You will not eat out of boredom. You will not eat because the food is there. You won't even eat just because it's a mealtime. You are going to eat when your body requests food. Now, there's a lot of intersection in that, because we are creatures of habit. We have a circadian rhythm. Our body will feel more or less hunger according to our routines and according to a 24-hour cycle. That is normal. However, can you honestly say that you never eat emotionally? Can you honestly say that you are 100% in tune to when your body needs nourishment, not wants nourishment? And another extremely important part of intuitive eating is you stop when you're satisfied. You don't stop when you're full. You don't stop when you feel a little sick. You don't stop when you get to the end of the package or the container or the bowl or whatever. You stop when you're satisfied. Now, again, this is easier to see in children. It still surprises me, even though this happens all the time, when my son is eating a dessert. Maybe it's an ice cream cone, maybe it's a cookie, maybe whatever it is. He's not done yet. And of course, my daughter does this too. They're not done yet, but they say, I'm done, I'm satisfied. They don't get to the end of that delicious thing that they're eating. Why? Because they know how to eat intuitively. They sense, they listen to their body. My body is satisfied. Now, what I do is, I'm eating an ice cream cone. My body is satisfied, but I still have ice cream. I am going to finish this. I am not a quitter. This ice cream is delicious. I'm not giving up. I'm going to eat my ice cream. So sure, I may sense like, oh, this is more than I needed to eat. How many times have I said after a meal, like, oh, I ate more than I needed, or whoa, I'm stuffed. That all means that I went beyond what I intuitively should have eaten. So those are two beautiful components of intuitive eating. You eat when your body needs nourishment. You stop when you're satisfied. Doing that is so incredibly hard. And I'm going to tell you why. The reason why this is hard has to do with a few things. First of all, the unlearning that happens. We have unlearned how to eat intuitively. Secondly, because of our relationship with food. And these things kind of come together, but food isn't neutral. Food is social, food is emotional, food is something that, besides having to eat several times a day, food is something that is much more than just nourishment. We don't eat nutrients, we eat food. And we eat because we're in a social setting, we eat because we're emotionally unbalanced somehow, either very happy or very sad or anxious or excited, whatever it is. So food is more than just nourishment. So that's also something that poses a difficulty for intuitive eating. And one of the biggest ones, I would say, in this day and age is the actual food that we have available to us. When you think of an apple, and when you think of a donut or a slice of pizza, which one is easier to eat intuitively, the apple or the slice of pizza? Well, you're going to eat an apple when you're hungry. You're going to even, and I mean, I've said this, and my parents used to say this. Most moms have said this at some point. A kid says, "Oh, I'm starving. I need to eat." Okay, eat an apple. I don't want an apple, so you're not hungry. That's actually a very good test. Pick a fruit. Apple is what works for most people. And when you say, "Oh, I'm hungry," would you eat an apple? If your answer is no, chances are you're not actually hungry. Chances are you're using food for something else. Anyway, the food we have available today, when we look at the pizza, for instance, if you like pizza, you'll probably eat pizza whether you're hungry or not, just because it's delicious. You won't eat an apple whether you're hungry or not. You're going to eat the apple because you're hungry. So that is another thing that makes it so difficult to eat intuitively, is because nowadays we have an abundance of highly palatable foods. These foods are engineered, literally. There are food engineers that are studying food, that are studying how our brain, how our tongue, how our gut reacts to food, so that they can create foods that trigger all the right spots and make you want to keep eating. Now, this is not me saying that these foods are bad or should be banned. You probably have been listening to us enough to know that I don't think any foods need to be banned. What I am saying is that when you're eating French fries, it's hard to say, "I'm satisfied, I'm going to stop." Now, if you were eating a plain baked potato, no butter, no sour cream, no bacon, no nothing, no salt, if you're just eating a plain potato, it would be very easy for you to sense when your body is full. If you're eating fries, it's almost impossible for you to sense when your body is full. So that is another thing, that it's very hard to eat intuitively with these foods that are very palatable and very high in calories. Because when you actually sense that you're full, when you feel full, with this kind of food, you have most likely consumed way more food, or at least way more calories than you actually needed. So intuitive eating, it seems like this wonderful unicorn way to manage your health. And yes, it's fantastic. Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're satisfied. It's so incredibly simple. It's beautiful. The thing is, until you learn how to eat again, until you learn your body, this is going to backfire. So what the intuitive eating influencers are not going to tell you is that the people who are successful with intuitive eating, they went through a process. They went through a process of learning their body's energy needs, of learning calories, portions, of healing their relationship with food. People who successfully eat intuitively, they don't qualify foods as good or bad. They don't qualify foods as forbidden and permitted. People who eat intuitively successfully, they don't say, "I can never eat X, I can never eat Y or Z," unless they have a legitimate medical reason. People who eat intuitively, they just look as food as food. And they are able to make choices based on their goals, based on the quality of not the quality, the type of food that they want to eat. So there's a whole relationship with food that has been dealt with. People who eat intuitively and do this well, they have repaired their relationship with food. And that's the first step. If this is somewhere you want to get, the first thing you need to do is pay attention. Are there any foods that are, in your mind, inherently fattening or inherently slimming? In your mind, are there foods that you can't eat? In your mind, is it stressful for you to eat at a restaurant? Is it stressful for you to go to someone's house? If someone gifts you something that is food, maybe somebody gives you a box of chocolates, maybe somebody gives you, I don't know, whatever it is that a stressor for you? If there is any sort of anxiety or any sort of good, bad thought around food, that is your first red flag that before you can eat intuitively, you need to fix that. You need to heal that relationship with food, or else you won't be able to do this well. The second thing, that everybody that eats intuitively and does it well, they have learned at some point, they have spent some time understanding energy balance, understanding how much energy does my body use? How much energy do I need? What does that mean in food? Now, the easiest way to do this and the most effective way to do this is some sort of portion control or calorie counting or macro, something that they have done so that they understand, okay, this is how much my body uses. What does this look like in terms of food? How much food does this look like? What does this translate into? So to be able to eat intuitively, there has been an understanding. And then you might say, okay, but kids don't know that. So, and they eat intuitively. Yeah, sure, because they didn't unlearn that in the first place. So they are able to do that without understanding this balance, because they didn't have to understand this balance. They already do that. They already stop when they're satisfied, regardless if it's pizza or an apple, they stop when they're full. We don't do that because we are more emotionally attached to the pizza than to the apple. So we keep eating the pizza. And we go into this spiral of, I was bad, I cheated, all that stuff. So to have a good intuitive eating practice, you need to heal that relationship with food. You need to understand what your energy need is, and you would need to understand what this looks like. So I don't care if you're going to do calorie counting, which personally is my favorite method. If you're going to count macros, if you're going to use portion containers, if you're going to use the plate method, if you're going to use your hands, whatever you use, the issue is you need to understand your body needs compared to the food you actually eat. After that process, intuitive eating is fantastic. And here's the thing that most of these influencers won't tell you. More people eat intuitively than you would think. Anyone who's done a good, healthy, either weight gain, muscle gain stage, or what most of our clients and our listeners are trying to do, a fat loss, anyone who's done that successfully with, proper dealing with relationship with food, having somebody that, is supporting you, helping you through this process, understanding portions and calories, energy needs. Anyone who's done this gets to a point where they eat intuitively. There are very few people who, for example, count calories for the rest of their life. Yes, I know people who have counted calories for over 30 years. They like it. They enjoy it. Here's the catch. They don't have to. They do it, but they have done that enough that they understand what a portion size is for them. They understand how much they need to eat. Now, the majority of people will go through this phase, and this is actually what I do with my clients, is we go through the fat loss phase. Okay, you did this. Now, how do you move into maintenance? What does maintenance look like? And we go through a maintenance coaching phase, which is designed specifically to lead you into intuitive eating. This maintenance coaching, it's programmed so that I help you go from, I need this system, whatever it is. I have clients that use calories, macros, portions, hands, plates. I have clients all over the board. So it doesn't matter what system you're using. The maintenance coaching is designed to teach you how to go from the system into intuitive eating. Now, to answer Shannon's comment in the beginning, what's the danger of intuitive eating? The danger of intuitive eating is jumping into it without going through this process, without learning what your body actually needs, how much you need to eat for your goals, to maintain, to lose, or whatever it is, and without healing this relationship with food. Because here's the thing, if you feel guilty when you eat a cookie, you can't eat intuitively. If you feel like, you're amazing because you ate a salad, you can't eat intuitively, because this relationship needs to be fixed. You need to be able to be neutral with food. Now, this isn't perfect. We all will struggle for the rest of our lives with certain things. So I'm not saying you have to get this perfectly, but you need the tools to heal this relationship, to understand what your body needs, and then you go into intuitive eating. So a good nutrition coaching program is actually going to help you do this. It's going to teach you how to lose or gain or reach whatever goal you want to reach in the what we could call the work phase. And then you're going to move into the maintenance stage, where this coach supposedly should ideally help you get away or detach yourself from needing that system and moving into intuitive eating. And most coaches that I know, we move in and out of that. So during maintenance, most coaches that I've talked to, what do we do? During maintenance, I eat intuitively. During maintenance, I know how to balance this out. I know how to eat. When I do a loss phase, well, which as time goes by, you do less and less of these because you reach maintenance. But when a person decides to go into loss, then they go back to that structure, because it's very hard to lose or gain weight with intuitive eating, because you have to either eat below your satisfaction or above your satisfaction. So when you go back into a more workload phase, you go back to either portions or calories or whatever it is. But maintenance, the beauty of maintenance is that, if you have done a good work phase and you've had some support going into your maintenance, you can learn to eat intuitively. However, I don't recommend intuitive eating for weight loss or weight gain if this is something you have to do intentionally. Accidental weight gain is very easy with intuitive eating. Like, oops, I gained 5 pounds. Okay, it's very easy. But for people who are trying to gain weight or trying to build muscle, doing that intuitively is very hard. The same way as people who are trying to lose fat, doing that intuitively is very difficult. So I highly recommend that you find someone to help you do that work stage, whether to gain weight and muscle or to lose fat, and then help you move into your maintenance so that you can learn to eat intuitively. And also, people who eat intuitively, you're going to see very few of them relying on supplements, pills, shakes, anything of the sort. Okay, those are not tools that are highly used when you eat intuitively. I just talked a bunch. So any comments, Shannon?
You did really good. I was like over here shaking my head the whole time. Like, yes, yes.
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah, no, it's great. And it just ties into building that whole foundation with your relationship with food. You can't just dive right into intuitive eating. You have to gain that proper relationship with food and move on from there. And it takes time.
It
Oh, does
takes
it take?
time.
It does. It really, really does. And you hit it on the nail too, that we are still going to have our days where we're rethinking that cookie that we ate, or we're like, yes, we finally ate a salad because we had a long weekend of celebrations and we didn't eat any vegetables. But that's okay. It's going to happen. It's all about balancing or rebounding back to that balance, I guess I should say, in a sense
Yeah,
of, you're going to have your days, but the next day, try and recoup from that. Try and balance yourself back out again, that thought process, versus getting into that spiral where you're out of control, back into that deep emotion of cookies are bad, salads are good.
exactly. And I think that a big part of that healing the relationship with food is exactly being able to do that, right? Where you might even choose, for example, on my birthday, on average, on the day of my birthday, I consume between 4,000 and 5,000 calories. It's a lot. And I do that every year, and I do it very happily, because it's a day that usually, like, there's a party. I'm big on birthday parties. So there's a party, and we go out somewhere, and like all bets are off for that day. Like for me, like my birthday, My family gives me my favorite chocolates and desserts and whatever. Are there leftovers? Yes. But that is the one day that I say, I don't care. Like, I'm just gonna, and usually I get to the end of the day and I'm not feeling amazing because, it's an overload of food that I don't usually eat, but I don't feel guilty and I don't feel bad because it's a choice. And I actually keep eating all those things for about a month after because they're leftovers, but I don't eat that amount every day. And that is part of the good relationship with food, is actually making a choice and, eating the cookie because you want the cookie, not eating the cookie because you're binging on 10 cookies because you feel bad or whatever, right? So it really is that it's just being able to say, okay, this is a decision, this is a choice, this is what happened, and you go on from there, right? And so you bounce back, as you said, you go back into balance. And you know what? This one day a year doesn't change anything in my weight.
No.
This one day doesn't make, the next day the scale is much heavier, as to be expected, because there's a lot of food sitting in there, but that's never taken me out of maintenance. That's never made me gain weight and never lose it again. So this relationship with food, and that's a whole other episode, but like you said, it's about being able to balance this out and make decisions and walk in that balance, understanding that, it's food, it's a choice, you get to choose.
Exactly. And being in that phase where you recognize that and you're okay with that is an amazing and very freeing state of mind to be in a sense of, I had this day, but then I'm going to bounce right back. And because the scale is heavier doesn't mean that's the end of it. Like,
the scale is heavier, so now I have to go on a detox or a cleanse. No,
right. Like, that's it. Now I'm going to be 5 pounds heavier for the rest of my life. This is it. Or, you have that pizza, and that's it. Your diet's ruined. I can't ever. Yes. No, we have to rearrange our thought process to thinking that that's not the end all, and it's okay to eat these things.
And that is where, again, we've said this in other episodes, why should I have a coach? Because our job is to help you navigate it. Every good coach out there, our dream is for you to not need a coach anymore. We work towards setting you free. We work towards giving you the tools so that you can move on and keep going and do this really, really well. Whoever is trying to, just take your money and keep you on for life, like, that's a red flag. Yes, we want you for as long as you want to have us, but our goal is for you to be able to walk on your own 2 feet, is for you to be able to learn these tools and these strategies so that you can live healthy and manage your weight without having to hold someone's hand. But the hand holding, that's a really, really important part of the process. So in conclusion, intuitive eating is amazing. It's great. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Should you do it? Yes, but after you've gone through a process of healing your relationship with food and understanding your body, what you actually need and what you actually want to reach. Thank you for joining us for this episode. We would greatly appreciate it if you left a review wherever you listen to this podcast. Remember that you can join our email list at practicethecore.com for more tips on how to improve your health. We are Aline and Shannon, and this is The Core.